Aubrey going to go to children's church? Or Grandma's going to go to children's church? Oh, okay. Children's church lasts until we're done here. We send them out for the boring parts. Me. Not you. Children through grade 3, not children through age 58. I think I estimated a little high. Okay. I think it's those two. I'm already standing. I got a head start. This is going to be this way this morning, I guess. We've been, in the last few months, actually, we've been talking about in the book of Proverbs, and we're actually coming to the end of a section today. Now, for those of you who don't realize there's sections in the book of Proverbs, I didn't either. I knew there was an introduction in chapters 1 through 9. That obviously is a section break there. And there seems to be a cluster of Proverbs at the end written by other folks other than Solomon. But in the study that I've been doing in Proverbs this time, I've been looking more at the connections between various Proverbs. And so there is a distinct division point here at the end of chapter 15. In the previous 5 chapters, since chapter 10, most of the Proverbs there have been what they call antithetical. So the first line says one thing and the second line disagrees with it. Or says something the opposite. Or it's just different. And the next section that we come to, there are a lot of Proverbs that are mostly synthetic. They say one thing and then they repeat it in a different manner. And I tell you all this so that you'll be amazed at my enlightenment. No, I tell you this. I should put a Greek word in there. You'll be amazed at my cosmography. No, that doesn't make any sense. Never mind. The reason why, I'll get back to it. I tell you, it's going to be one of those days. I've said that already twice. I tell you, I lost my train of thought again. I tell you this because next Sunday we're going to take a short break from Proverbs and do one of the shorter books of the Bible. And then the 4 weeks after that, we're going to do Advent. And so we'll be in the Gospels or someplace talking about Jesus. And then we'll get back to the book of Proverbs in January. So that's why I told you all this, because it's a nice division break right now, and I didn't quite know how to flow that in and stop in the middle of something. Wade Boggs was an impressive baseball player, all-star, I think 8 times, played for the Boston Red Sox, big slugger, hated in New York, as you might well imagine. And he, especially every time he played third base, and every time he played there was a fan who stood just feet away from him and just screamed at him. You know, every game, just horrible things, just made his life miserable. And we could just sit there and take it and take it and take it years after years. Finally, he said, I got to do something about this. So one game, they're playing in New York, and the guy is starting to yell at him, and so he walks over there to him, and he says, "Hey, you the guy that's been giving me such a hard time over the last years?" "Yeah, what about it?" "Well, I just wanted to sign an autograph for you." And he signs a baseball and says, "Here." From that point on, the man in the stands was changed. You know, he actually evidently became a big fan of Mr. Boggs. And, you know, they still had a conversation, and I'm sure the other guy was still a Yankee fan, but the situation changed after that moment. He knew how to use his words and a kind action to change a relationship that he had. Well, that's a lot of what we've been looking at here in the book of Proverbs, and a lot of what the Proverbs have been like lately. They've been talking about the joy that we have in the Lord and how we can pass that along to somebody else, how we can become friends with other people, how we can use a soft answer to turn away wrath, and other particular things. And in this particular section, in these next 5 verses, we're talking about, it seems to focus on being lazy and foolish. Verses 19 and 24 form bookends around this particular section, both of them talking about the path that we take in life. I did check out all the titles on those books, and there's nothing bad up there. I got worried this morning. Now you're all reading them, aren't you? I got rid of it. The way of the sluggard is blocked with thorns, but the path of the upright is a highway, according to verse 19. This saying emphasizes that patience is not to be confused with passivity and its negative outcomes. We're not supposed to be lazy. We're supposed to be patient. You know, that dog up there wants to eat that thing. He is chomping at the bit, and he is, you know, he's not a lazy dog, but he is just under control. He is patient until his owner says, you can have that dog biscuit. The surprise comes in this particular proverb between the contrast of the lazy person and the upright. Now, normally we would think that the contrast should be between a lazy person and an active person. But in this proverb, it says the sluggard is the opposite of the upright. And it implies that the lazy person is not righteous before God. The lazy person is not using what God has given and is not an upright person. The picture is conjured up, what picture is conjured up by a hedge of thorns? Now, a lot of times you read about a hedge of thorns in the Bible. It can be a hedge that God has planted around us to protect us. Back in the day when you didn't have fences or police officers or rules or laws or fences or anything, they would plant a hedge of thorns around their village, and that provided them with some protection. But it could also be, it's also used in the Old Testament, of a hedge that is there to prevent you from freedom, from doing something that you want. And so Job can say that he is hedged in all around. So what is meant by this particular hedge of thorns? Thorns and briars in the path show us that traveling on this road would be pretty miserable. You know, your clothes would get torn, your skin would get torn, and it says that a fool travels along a path that is just not a tremendous route to take. It also might be a sign of folly for who would choose to go down such a path, and it also could be a sign of neglect. And so the author of the book of Proverbs is telling us that foolish people travel down these paths that are hard to take, that they have made for themselves, and they should choose to do otherwise. A wise son brings joy to his father, but a foolish man despises his mother. Verses in 20 and 21 are joined together by the use of the Hebrew word for joy. Note the similarity, if you would, in your Bibles between verse 20 to the first proverb of the collection way back in chapter 10. We're saying this is a big section, and they are nearly identical. There's a few differences there. If a fool despises his mother, and then the wise son's gift of joy is a sign of love for his parents. And here it's not saying that the difference is between wise and foolish. It's saying it's the difference between loving and unloving. If you're foolish, you're unloving. And he makes that connection with this son. We never leave our family, even when we enter into relationships with others. That relationship does change. But we never leave them totally, and so we are continuing to honor and give joy to our parents even after we leave the home. Verse 21 goes on to say, folly delights a man who lacks judgment, but a man of understanding keeps a straight course. This is Persecuted Christians Day and Veterans Day. It's also Stupid Guy Thing Day, as this sermon is a good illustration. Folly is literally a joy to the person who lacks heart. You know, it's a joy for a stupid person. He's unloving. He doesn't think. He doesn't feel the right way he should. And it's a joy to him. He enjoys doing this. This proverb implies that folly has its delights. Yes, I enjoyed the movie Airplane. But it was stupid. Right, Kenny? Yeah, it was stupid. But it has its delights, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay? But the person of understanding, it realizes that even if you might like something that's stupid, we know it's stupid. Only a fool finds joy in foolishness. It's my least favorite actor up there, and I think he's stupid. And he enjoys, and people, like the characters he portrays, puts, it's Will Ferrell, in case you don't recognize it, which is good. Don't recognize this man. People that he plays on